Ooh, that intro, James, always gives me chills, man.
We're
back. Welcome to the Mando Fan Show, Season 3, if you want to call it that. We're back, baby! And we are so excited to talk about the newest entry in live-action Star Wars, the Book of Boba Fett. So welcome, everybody, to the Mando Fan Show. I'm John. Thanks for joining us. James and Lacey with me, as always. If you don't remember what we do here on the Mando Fan Show, a bit different than TRB, but it's the same crew, so same energy, same vibe, but we're also live, and we see a lot of people already in the live chat, so welcome to all of you. If you are on Twitter or any format of social media and you see the post, whether it's from Star Wars Newsnet or Resistance Broadcast, if you don't mind sharing it with a quote tweet, tell people to come join the party. Let's have a good time tonight, and thank you, everyone, for taking the time out of your night to join us. I'm sure you watched it multiple times, but now we are here to talk about Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land. James, Lacey, we're back. The Mando Fan Show is back. I'm so excited that we're doing this live again. It's a little different. It used to be Friday nights. Now it's Wednesday nights. But either way, it's still a good time. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good, man.
I'm great. Yeah.
Always excited. Wore my green today, green and black.
For the Matrix?
Of course, for the Matrix, yeah.
Right.
What was there something else that was
not that I know of?
No, okay. All right. Just wanted to be sure. No, of course, though, I've been like everybody I'm in contact with, I'm like, I don't know if they're like a Star Wars person or not, but I'm like, big day. Yeah, like
big day.
Like, testing the see if they go like, why is it a big day? I'm like, because
hopping by that
like,
virtual water cooler at the office.
Exactly.
Big day today.
Yeah.
Lacey, you're rocking the Han and Chewie rivals of Boba Fett, so a little on the antagonistic side of things. But how you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be talking about Star Wars again in the sense of like new content. I feel like we've been kind of slow as of this past year with with what's been coming out. But we're gearing up here. We're getting ready for the next year, which is going to be nonstop Star Wars. So it's just like the beginning of what's to come, and it's just it's exciting to wake up super early and watch Star Wars and see people's reactions online. And surprisingly, not a lot of spoilers. People have been very respectful. I think that's all the marketing Disney did about the respect thing. That people were like, no, we're listening to you, Disney.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
But other than that, I'm just excited to talk about Boba Fett, who's honestly not one of my favorite characters, but I've come around.
Yeah, he's Fett-demption is real, and it's happening right now. He's the star of the show. And this first chapter, which I think a lot of us guessed, was directed by the showrunner, Robert Rodriguez, written by Jon Favreau. Created by Jon Favreau. He pitched the story after seeing what Robert Rodriguez did with Boba Fett in The Mandalorian. So it's all good stuff. And also one thing that a lot of people need to clear it up today, this series is composed by Joseph Shirley, not Ludwig Göransson. Göransson just did the main theme, which played over the end credits, which has its own controversy, I guess, going on right now. But Joseph Shirley, the composer, and a lot of people seem to be liking what he did, a little bit of a different flavor than what we heard with The Mandalorian. So what we do here before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show, if you don't mind liking the video and, like I said, sharing on social media. And we also have super chats available, which do go to support the podcast. If you do submit one, your comment will be read on the show. And it doesn't matter what section that is, but whenever you do that,
we do have a couple if we want to kick it off with a couple.
We will kick that off in just a moment. But just to remind everybody, a little bit later in the show, we're going to be around an hour or so, maybe a little over, because sometimes the first episode we always get a little chatty. But we're doing the Mando Code again, which is our season-long giveaway contest, and we're going to be giving away the first number in the scrambled code for you to take down, and of course not share with anyone else, because you want to be the one that wins the grand prize, which is going to be pretty cool. We'll reveal that in a little bit. So we have one other announcement before we get going, but Lacey, let's fire up a couple of those super chats.
Yeah, so first up we have Gary24fan. Thank you so much for the super chat, Gary.
Thanks,
He said,
Gary.
My tribute, and I hope you will rule me with respect, but I'll accept fear if deemed necessary. Gary, I am a little afraid right now.
Thanks, Gary.
Very
I wonder
nice.
who's the 2-4? Is it Kobe Bryant? Is it Jeff Gordon? We may never know, but thank you, Gary.
I'm not sure, but David Probus is up. What up, David? Who thanks for the super chat? Who said my tribute? LOL. I love that this is a thing. We're such nerds here that we're like pulling things from the show already.
Spice
Love
Runner,
it.
Graybeard, Proby One Kenobi, David Probus, Breaker of Chains. What's up, buddy? The last thing we want to announce, it is live now, but if you go to store.resistancebroadcast.com, just for as long as the Book of Boba Fett and the Mando fan show are on and happening, this new shirt will be available, and James is going to fire it up right now for you to take a look. There it is. The Mando fan show season 3 edition is available in shirts and sweatshirts, depending on what climate you're in, but it is available now at store.resistancebroadcast.com. I'm definitely firing up a t-shirt myself because something about that green I'm really digging. So there it is. Grab it if you'd like. Wait till after the show, whatever, but just know that it's going to run through February 9th, and then it's coming down again. All right.
One more super chat. Really
okay,
quick.
cool. Really cool.
From Double D, who said, I'm addicted to TRB, never miss an episode. Thank you.
Thank you, Double D. We have a double C,
I miss
a double D.
Yeah. And then Gary did respond saying, James got it right. My screen name is left over from when I used to watch NASCAR. Gordon was my favorite driver.
Ah.
Oh,
Nice.
well, did you say that? Did I say that? It doesn't matter. I'll be James. Jack Fish. if Jack Fish shows up in the Mandalorian, they got to go somewhere wet.
Geez.
They got to go to Naboo. But we'll see. It looks like it's more sand than anything. But Jack Fish lives in our hearts forever. All right. So what we're gonna do here, if you don't remember, is we are gonna rate the episode. And you might remember from the Mandalorian Mando fan show seasons, we did the Pedro Pascal face scale. We changed it up a bit, and now we're doing the TEM scale, the Tamara Morrison face scale. And boy, does he have pearly whites, as you'll see in a moment. But we're each going to rate the episode 1 to 10. Halves are included. Give you our average, and then we asked our patrons for their score, average theirs, and we'll get to them in just a minute. But I'm going to kick things off here. I gave this Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land episode of the Book of Boba Fett a 7. I thought it was, we'll get more into why, we feel the way we do later, but just briefly, I felt it was good, solid, did things it needed to do in order to get us to really push forward starting next week. So I kind of understood that. And so that's why I'm going with a 7. It's not necessarily the highest score I've given, probably in the lower end of the scores I've given, but that's where I'm at with my score for this chapter. So James, you're up next. What did you give chapter 1?
So I gave it a little bit of a lower score, and this is also kind of on my lower end of all scores. And it might even be like, if Mandalorian was included, like my lowest of Mandalorian as well. So I give it a 6. And part of that 6 also comes from, because I'll just say it now, like I wasn't a huge fan of this episode. I kind of wanted to give it a 5, but sitting with the episode for a while, I was like, you know what? I think that if we watch this episode in context with episode 2 and 3 and 4 and the story that we're going to get, that maybe we didn't expect, maybe it's a little bit more lenient on the Tusken Raiders and stuff. They're leaning on that side. We'll probably still enjoy it, and we'll look back at that first episode like, oh, they were just setting up something kind of different than we were anticipating. But right now, I'm sitting watching this guy that I want to be excited about digging in sand, and I'm like, this is a 5, buddy. But I'm gonna give it a 6. I'm gonna give it a 6 right now.
Boba Fett's building sandcastles. He's like, James, how'd I do? And you're like, it's a 5, buddy. That's a 5.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going back in. Forget it. All right, Lacey. So I'm at 7. James at 6. Lacey, why don't you round us out? What is your score for chapter 1?
So my score is definitely one of, if not the lowest score I've ever given to a Star Wars show.
Oh no.
Similar to James, I felt that I think that the show starts off in a solid place. I think it answered a lot of questions that we had of like, how did he get out of this? Where is he going? But I think I'll look back, like James said on this episode, being like, okay, that makes total sense. Or, oh, they hinted at this early on, or we saw bits and pieces of this. But right now I have a lot of questions, and I felt there were moments, like James said, where he's digging in sand for long periods of time that you're just like, got it. He's digging in sand.
This is a 40-minute epistem All right.
Got it. So I gave it 6.5 out of 10 Tem faces.
All right.
A good chunk
like
of that
that.
is just for his
rated on a
his
scale
buff
of
bod.
1 to 10.
1 to 10.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's easy enough to average out because we kind of sandwiched Lacey's score there, James. So we're the three of us give this thing a 6.5. So there we are. Look at those faces.
I love his face.
Look at those veneers that he has. And he has that like golden tan. I don't. That's a nice smile. I don't know.
Maybe just had a good smile.
Maybe. So 6.5 for us. And now we're going to go to our patrons who we scored. And so what we did is we took their totals and averaged them out. And they gave this a little bit higher. Our patrons, our TRB resistance officers, gave this episode a 7.1.
Ooh.
A little bit higher than us.
A little bit higher, yeah.
A little bit, but I like that we're kind of in the same ballpark. So it's cool that we're not necessarily negative Nellies over here. Maybe everyone's kind of on the same page. So we do have a couple of comments that we're going to get to from our
to go basically. Like you can only go up.
Yes, right. So a couple of comments from our officers. Megan Polar. Hi, Megan. She said 7 for me. A great start. Just wish it was a little bit longer and ended in the present instead of during a flashback. It didn't feel like a complete chapter. So that's a good point, Megan. Great job on that. And then next we have Nathan Merrick. What's up, Nathan? He said, I love this episode and give it an 8 out of 10. Waited a lifetime to see him emerge from the sarlacc, and I love how they did it. I'm really happy about the Tusken Raiders storyline, and overall it felt like a framework and built up to an awesome gangster story with elements of Sergio Leone's Man with No Name series. That's a good point, because I'm going to bring that up later as well. So I like that, Nathan. So great job there. And in the chat, if you want to fire out what your score would have been or what it is, and we'll see if everyone is on the same page or not. But we're going to get cracking here with some fun, and we always start this thing off with Easter eggs. And we have our list, and we're going to just go around one at a time and see what we found here. James, you're going to start us off with Easter eggs. Now, context is not really important here. You can do things that are a reference, not necessarily Star Wars. Maybe there's something you saw that you think is a Terminator reference or something like that, But let's not, typically we don't try to do too far of like stretches, like I guess that's an Easter egg, or obvious things like a Twi'lek, So you kind of get where we're looking here. And James, why don't you kick us off with any sort of Easter egg or reference you caught in Chapter 1?
Okay, well, actually, it's kind of surprising because we did the original, like the season 1 of The Mandalorian, and we were like, Twi'lek, like in the background, everything, we've since come around, and now I'm like watching these episodes, and I'm like, man, not a lot sitting there. A couple things popped out to me. One, and I don't want to say it's a negative. Maybe it's only a negative for me, but it kind of pulled me out a little bit. Immediately seeing 3 Boston Dynamics spot.
What was that?
Yes.
So I saw that and I was like,
do you think that's a Disney tie-in? Like they're going to do some type of sponsorship thing where they're like, oh, did you see these? I don't know. No, they did the cookies with Baby Yoda.
So again, my thought process on seeing it is I was like, I don't know how many people really know that, as a thing. So that's just a droid and it's really cool. But I know it, and it felt very obvious that wasn't a Star Wars thing. That was a real Earth robot thing, walking around. And I was like, I don't like that. I wish they would have.
I could see them having walking around the parks
to build it up, but they only put something on the top. So I was like, the whole body basically is the real Boston Dynamics spot,
Yeah, it was not even
AI
changed
robot.
at all.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I mean, that's cool, and I like to see that kind of usage and stuff like this. And here they are. Star Wars is taking advantage of it. I wish I would have seen it a little bit better, but yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Michael's saying, what is that? So I'm like, I don't know what is a Boston Dynamic.
It's basically
Boston
Skynet.
Dynamics, yeah, well, people say that. Yeah, it's a robotics company, but they're like,
Kendall and I are on the same page.
The absolute best at it. It seems like, as far as AI and making intelligent robots to do human movement and stuff. But
I'm telling you guys, Disney loves selling sponsorships and stuff, and how can we make money off things? those cookies with Baby Yoda. Remember, that was such a cute moment.
Mhm.
And then afterwards, they were like, Williams Sonoma, $50 if you want to buy these cookies. And they sold out. So, like, you got to look at it that way, too, being like, hey, sales guy Bob sold into the Mandalorian or into the Book of Boba Fett 3 Boston Dynamics things.
To me,
I'll
those
just say this,
cookies
'cause-
were not like EL fudge cookies that were very
Right.
obvious EL
But
fudge
I'm,
cookies.
but I'm
Well-
saying
You know
the
what I
fact
mean?
that they sold the cookies and the only reason they're
Mhm.
in the show is because of the cookies, I would bet. Like, the only reason
Yeah.
they're in there is because someone was like, hey,
Right.
can we work in some type
Yeah.
of
Could
thing that
be.
we can sell?
I
Because they
just
had to make that thing prior to the show coming out.
these things horrify me. The whole thing scares me. I talked about it on my
I think
other
it's
movie
cool. I like it.
podcast about the Matrix. It's the future is Skynet. It's clear. It's evident to me, and it absolutely horrifies me. And burn it all.
Are you talking about this Boston Dynamics?
All of
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Goodbye.
I thought you
They
were
have
talking
ones-
at first about the tie-ins. I was like,
They have
that's
ones that
just
do, like-
basic marketing.
They have ones that do like parkour now and stuff. It's horrifying.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll move on and keep this in a galaxy far, far away.
Mhm.
Who's up? Lacey, you're up. What did you see any references or Easter eggs that you wanted to point out?
I'm gonna knock out the pretty obvious one. Max Rebo's back.
Max Rebo
Yeah.
is
Yo,
back in a
he
big
showed
way.
up and I was like, yes, because a lot
Yeah?
of people, including myself, were like, I can't believe he died. That's so sad. He did
Hmm.
not. I wonder how it looked when he jumped off the sandwich. Because you don't ever see his bottom half. And by the way, when he plays,
Well-
he just does this.
See, that's debatable. I'm excited that he's there now because we might be able to get more answers on if are those his hands and he's sitting behind a table, or is they've originally created him, those are his feet and he doesn't have arms.
Oh,
And he's sitting. Did you not have you not encountered that before?
No.
No, yeah, it's like a pretty I like well known among nerds, right? Like real nerds. But like the puppetry, the way it was done, it like when you're watching the movie, it looks like he's like a guy sitting behind a keyboard with his hands, but supposedly the creature's supposed to have no hands and he's playing with his feet.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, oh, I didn't get a chance to like really investigate and see how it looks in the show. But yeah, I was like, oh, we got more angles of
yep.
Max.
See, Rebo doesn't have a bottom half. I feel like a bad fan that I didn't know that. I'm sorry, guys.
No,
You know what
it's like weird deep lore.
Yeah. You know what this also means, though? Like Salacious Crumb could be alive still.
Uh-huh.
Other
I know,
people
they
may have
opened it up.
gotten out of there. Yeah.
Is
So
that
we'll see.
also one of the something nodes,
Modal nodes.
modal nodes?
Figuring Dawn, it's definitely a Bith. It's
But
the
we
same
don't know if
species.
it's one of them. Yeah.
We don't know.
But
it's
I
one of
was
them,
I was
yeah.
curious if it's like because I don't think they specified a name. I was like that could be one of
Right.
them. That's also kind
Right.
of tied into that Easter egg too. This returning character.
He just took a
Right.
side gig, you know.
Yeah.
I think one Easter egg that is quite morbid is Wookiee skin. That
Mhm.
Oh,
was
is
being-
that what he showed up with?
Yeah,
I was
Mhm. The
wondering if that
Trandoshan.
was Bantha or not.
yeah. Doc Strassi offered that as his tribute to Boba Fett with Wookiee skin.
Oh my god.
At least we all know it's not Chewie because Chewie shows up in the sequels later, so that's good. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's messed
Wookiee
up.
skin. That's a little
So-
dark, especially when if you're a fan of the Wookiees, which I am.
Oh
Yeah,
my
in
God,
the
that's messed
Clone
up.
Wars animated series, there's a couple characters that get caught by Trandoshans and they get dropped on a like hunting area where it's like full of like Wookiees and stuff. Like the Trandoshans are known for like hunting Wookiees and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep. So that's mine. I had to get that one out of the way because it's a little dark. But James, you got any others?
I'm not particularly filled up. Like those three were the ones I wrote. The only other thing about the Max Rebo and stuff is they were kind of playing I hope it's lumpy. They were kind of playing a remix of the song from the original Tatooine Mos Eisley Cantina. It was
Nice.
like
Oh,
a
was it?
different version
Hmm.
of the song. Yeah, it was like an updated version. So kind of
Mhm.
That's
interesting.
Nice.
Lacey, what do you got?
One of my favorite moments in Star Wars, they kind of did a callback to it, which was Boba Fett strangling the monster with a chain around its neck, like Leia does with Jabba.
Mhm.
That's true.
As soon as he did it,
that's-
I was like, "It's like Leia."
Yeah, that's a good call. I didn't even think about that. And then I'll just pick up then with another callback to Return of the Jedi. Is Boba Fett saying that they really need a protocol droid?
Yeah.
Couldn't understand what the guests were saying, and it's exactly why Jabba had one. So I thought that reminded me exactly of C-3PO and wondering where he was in the galaxy during that time. But if George Lucas had made the series, C-3PO would certainly show up, but he did not. All right, James, did you have any others? I didn't want to put you on the spot. You seem to have said yours.
Well, I was actually thinking another one that we might want to mention because it's not as obvious as like a and I should have looked up the name. I didn't even write it down. It just occurred to me. It's not as obvious as like a Twi'lek or a Rodian or something like that, but the animal that was like watching over them was in Attack of the Clones. Like they had the Tusken Raiders in that movie had those animals as well. Did they not? Am I wrong on that?
Yeah.
Oh, the Massives.
Massives.
Yeah, they were in the Mandalorian too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
remember them being in the Mandalorian.
They were in the
maybe
Clone Wars first.
were.
They were made for Attack of the Clones, and then they ultimately used them in the Clone Wars, which then they used in the Mandalorian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the dogs. Yeah.
Those are good. Big teeth, a little scary. Lacey, did you have any others?
Yeah. So another one of my favorite moments, which we talked about on the unintentionally or indirectly funny episode, the 8D8 droid, who's like the guy introducing people. He's the one that was torturing that gonk droid that when I was little, and even now still think it's no, and kicking his feet. That's him. That's my boy.
That's him. And he was voiced by Matt Berry, who I'm not familiar with, but a lot of people seem to know.
I learned today Sam Witwer did the Rodian.
Yeah, I learned that too. That's
dude is getting all the Star Wars jobs. They just call up Sam and they're like, "Hey, you busy today?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure."
Well, him and Collins are boys, and they were both they had spots in Rogue One together, so they're kind of like a package deal. I feel like with the Skywalker sound stuff. So it's always good to hear Sam Witwer popping in and doing this sort of stuff, even when it's not like, oh, that's Sam Witwer's English speaking voice. It's like, no, he just sounded the alarms as a Rodian, which I double checked to make sure. But it looks the same. It's not the same Rodian from Solo. That Rodian actually got killed in The Mandalorian, which I forgot about. So I'm glad I double checked that because I was like, "Oh, is that?"
Yeah,
Rodian?
I'm assuming this Rodian was probably on the sail barge. Because he had like kind of burns and stuff on him and stuff.
Wow, so everybody's surviving the sail barge.
Well, you have to assume a bunch of people jumped off before it exploded.
Yeah, true. Like the Titanic, and the doors and stuff. Yeah,
the Titanic didn't explode. What?
Well, no, but they jumped off of it. People jumped off the Titanic.
Yeah, before it exploded, like the Titanic.
No, remember that guy? Remember that guy who hits the propeller as he's going down? Bong. Yeah, I'm sure that really happened. James Cameron.
Gosh.
All right, I have a couple more. One, I'll just say that Nathan
just run them through, John.
Yeah, Nathan sort of touched on this one. The dragging of Boba Fett through the sands is definitely a Western sort of thing, like when you have the guy lassoed and you're running with the horse. But also, it really reminded me a lot of Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Clint Eastwood's character sort of being tortured by the guy with the umbrella as he's just trying to crawl through the sand across the desert. So I think that's definitely a nod from Robert Rodriguez there, being that heavily Western influence. Camino. The Attack of the Clones, which I guess was reshot using 4K, and they used a double for young Boba Fett, and they did that shot of him looking at the helmet, and then
Daniel Logan still being credited though.
Yeah, his likeness, yeah. And then the last one I have is like the personal energy shields that the guys in the street fight were using. Were very reminiscent to me of the Gungan personal energy shields from Naboo, with that sort of transparent, or even like the closing doors in the lightsaber duel between Qui-Gon and Darth Maul. So that's all I got. I'm sure we could run through others. I'm sure people will pop a few in the chat if they haven't already.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we run through some super chats before we get into the next segment?
Absolutely. Bring on the tributes.
All right, so first up is Michael. Thanks, Michael, who said this is to fill up Lacey's helmet behind her. Nice.
That's cool. I love that everyone's doing a reference to the show
connection.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys noticed, in the helmet was Republic credits, not Empire credits.
Oh, that's a good
Really
one.
cool.
That is
If
a
you
good
look in the
one.
helmet, it's all like the new
I'm not gonna
Republic
lie,
stuff.
like my brain didn't even put together. Like I knew it was money, but like I was like, oh, poker chips, like sabacc chips. Like
Yeah,
it
no.
wasn't
Oh
even.
yeah.
I
It's
wasn't
cool
even really
though.
putting it like actual currency.
Yeah, so I went back through and like stopped a couple
Oh, that's
times to
good.
see like
Yeah.
if I saw anything. I mean, the other things that we didn't mention but are pretty obvious are like gonk droids are in the background. I think there was one kind of Constable Zuvio type character from Nima
Oh
Outpost
yeah.
was it
Oh,
walking
really?
That hat
around.
is just getting tossed around. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, we got this
Also,
hat.
too, there's a character has actually a couple lines. Fennec Shand from the Bad Batch. No, I'm just kidding.
Next is Dakota. Thank you so much, Dakota. I love your name, Dakota. I say that every time, but it's so true. Take my galactic credits. Newborn Daimo Gillerin needs some Fett merch.
Very
She
cool.
definitely
Thanks,
does.
Dakota.
I have one more. Let me find it. I'm scrolling. Here we go. Devin, thank you so much, Devin, for the super chat. You said, great for a pilot prologue. Good setup for the ensuing adventure, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Love the show, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
Devin.
agree. I think,
Yeah.
we talked about it. James and I mentioned it in our scoring. It's just like it sets it up. So I would love at the end of this, like we always do, is go back and say what we thought, or would we change our scores now that we've seen the whole series? Because it's hard to judge on just one episode what the whole series is about. It's not like a movie.
Yeah,
So we'll see
true.
what happens.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for those. We appreciate that very much. The support means a lot, so thank you. Next up, we're going to take a little breather and get into the Mando Code. So the Mando Code is back. It's our season-long giveaway contest. Every week, I will reveal on each episode and a new number. And it's going to be not in any sort of order or anything like that. No hints. And at the very end of the season, on the season finale, probably, I don't know if it's on a recap show or the final episode. We'll let you know. But either way, you're going to have a chance to submit your guess as to what the code is in the correct order and what the meaning is behind it. So you just want to, as of right now, just start keeping track of each of these numbers as we put them out each week. The grand prize is going to be the Black Series new re-armored Boba Fett electronic helmet. So that is going to be out soon. I believe it's available for pre-order now, but we're going to get that to whoever wins this thing and becomes the ultimate bounty hunter in the quest for the Mando Code. So the first number in this year's Mando Code is 4.
Side note, I
Ooh.
don't know the Mando. I know what we're doing in the prize and everything, but I don't know what your secret code is. So I'm also playing
I'm playing along. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I'm like, I don't know what it is. So...
I mean, you're on a shared doc, but that's okay.
Well, we like to
does
play
it-
along.
James like, oh, it's there. Let me check
Also,
it out.
Brian makes a good point. Before
Yeah.
this episode, I didn't know Tuskens could drink through their masks. It's the little things,
Yeah.
Brian.
I also didn't know Tuskens were I thought they were mindless monsters, but we'll get into that in a minute. These last two series have really turned the tide on those. But now let us get into it. Do the spoiler breakdown of the episode. First, we'll warm the engines up by talking about either our favorite shot or single moment in the episode. So you don't really have to stay strict to one specific thing or not, but we'll see what our favorites were. So, Lacey, did you have a specific favorite moment or a favorite shot in chapter 1?
Favorite moment or favorite shot? I'm just trying to think of what shots I really liked. The one that's sticking out to me honestly is the shot that Robert Rodriguez did from the sand looking up at the Rodian was very cool. And where he's digging. And then when the monster pops out, he keeps shooting from that angle, which is, it was just very jarring compared to the other shots. I think, honestly, my favorite shots were weirdly of Boba Fett in the bacta tank. I just found something really cool about those shots. And then everything that surrounds those shots, the fact that they stuck this guy in a water tank with a breather, a breathing apparatus.
Right.
And we're okay, we're going to get some shots of you doing this. And then it made me think I would totally do that. And I think it would be such a fun thing to do, to be oh, let me go in this tank. And just everything about it was really cool. How it's a horizontal bacta tank was really cool. And it has the buttons on the inside that then take the water out. I would love to see a video on how they built that and how it works in real life compared to what you see in the show, because it seems like it's very practical.
Yeah, yeah, and it seems to work because if you look at his face from when we first see him come back to now, he looks wonderful. So
yeah, that sarlacc is no joke, and I was really grossed out by that
Yeah.
whole sequence.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that sarlacc because
Mhm.
it's a little scary. But James, did you have a favorite shot or moment in the chapter 1?
My favorite moment probably was him going into the facility with the music and the gambling and stuff. I think it's always fun to have the cantina scene in a Star Wars movie, whether it's just like the lowly bar on this like sand planet, or something like Canto Bite where it's like crazy and fabulous or whatever. Like I always enjoy, like I feel like no matter how many times I see it, I'm always like looking trying to look in a different direction. So it was nice to see that right away, that I was like, oh man, and this place looks like it kind of tried to merge the two. Like this is a really fancy, nice place for being on Tatooine and being in Mos Espa, So I was interested when that whole thing was happening, because I was like, this immediately gives this episode rewatchability, because you know what they do in The Mandalorian, they showed that cantina scene, and then like all these characters show back up later, and you're like, oh, we thought this was the first time, but they're actually in episode 1 too,
Right.
The one lady, what's it, frog lady, she's like in the background in the earlier episodes. So it's like I don't know, I found that exciting, and I like that bar.
Not enough bantha toothbrushing though. That was my
right.
I was like looking in the background to see if they were doing it, and they weren't, and I was like, what a missed opportunity there to really just
right. And for a Tatooine bar, it was kind of modern and clean.
It really was.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I was like, they seemed like they were kind of trying to merge the like high end and low scum side.
Yeah, I agree. That was a cool scene. It was definitely a palate cleanser for sure. Mine might be a little more on the nose, because the initial shot of it reminded me of The Force Awakens when we saw the downed wreckage of the Star Destroyers, because it just makes it feel real. Is the wreckage of the Katana sail barge, and then Boba Fett's fist coming out and him climbing out, but when he's like still up and climbing, and that angled shot where you see the pit below him without the beak.
No beak.
No beak.
To go, Robert Rodriguez. No beak. Way to go, Jon Favreau.
No beak for them. But that shot of him climbing out with the dirt all over him is kind of like, I imagine what that shot everyone was kind of hoping that they would see one day when they saw him go into that pit. Those kids that grew up loving Boba Fett and stuff. So that probably was a big deal to a lot of people, especially that he did it himself. It wasn't one of those things where he was saved or rescued out of there. He got his butt out of there himself, using fire, using his will.
It reminded
everything
me of
he had
Princess
left
Bride, where he like shoots his hand out of the sand.
Yeah. So that was my favorite moment. But now let's kind of just get into it. Lacey, if you do happen to see someone's favorite moment in the chat that you want to fire a read off.
Oh, there's a bunch.
Yo, you want to read a couple of them?
Sure. Give me 1 sec. Let me scroll up a little bit.
And then we'll just get into an open chat where we'll talk about the episode. Spoilers all through this whole thing. And
Frank said his favorite moment was inside the Sarlacc pit and the stormtrooper in it. Oh. And then when Boba punched his way out of the sand.
There you go. That's right, Frank.
So for me personally, like up for one of my favorite shots was that stormtrooper or him busting out of the sand, but I really don't like the inside of the Sarlacc pit.
It's very
from like a disgusting thing. No, from me, it reminded me of how we say like on animated shows, like they always say, well, they stick you in the closet and you get, it's the best place for sound. You got to hang up all your blankets. That's how I felt. I was like, what am I looking at? He's like got blankets around him, and I'm like,
it reminded me of Stranger Things,
the inside of the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, it reminded me of Stranger Things when they go to the Upside Down and it's like all the goo and people are just stuck in the goo and they're dead. That's what it reminded me of. Greg Spencer, what's up? He said, I like the shot when the monster landed on the 4 legs, basically becoming a centaur. Yeah, that monster had a really cool look to him. It was very like stop motion-y look. I noticed it was kind of like old school. I thought at first, I was like, is this one of the monsters from the Dejaric board that we
yeah,
but I didn't have time to
No, it's Goro from Mortal Kombat, actually.
This is actually a really funny comment from Cutter. Said the best shot was the Patton Oswalt shot of Boba coming out of the sand. That's true. His filibuster from Park and Rec, where he gives his whole thing. If you guys go back and watch that, if you like Park and Rec, or you just like Patton Oswalt, or just like Star Wars, it's pretty funny. He talks about Marvel and stuff too. A bunch of things that he says in the whole filibuster have come true in both Marvel and Star Wars, which is really
I actually believe when he busts through, he's wearing the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Because he's like, bear with me. It's gonna take a little bit of a jump.
My favorite thing about that whole thing, by the way, is that Amy Poehler said in an interview that he was so good, they just let him keep going and they never called cut. So then they just kind of signaled to each other to get up and leave, and that's why the whole group in the room gets up and leaves. But Patton Oswalt just kept going, so the fact that he's that nerdy that he can just keep rambling is just so funny.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty. A lot of the favorite moments were that people noticing how cool the cantina was. It was very clean and modern, and just a lot of people are saying they can't wait to see what happens next. Like, this is a good start.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's just get into the crux of the thing and just talk about the episode. First off, I like how they handled. I mean, I have my issues with the Tusken Raiders stuff, but I like how they handled the sort of prologue to the prologue, because I considered on my written review, I called this episode a prologue in a sense. But I liked how they explained how he got out, because they did it quickly. They did it like in a very succinct manner. But it was still really cool. And I think it's like kind of like one of those things that I compare to the Kessel Run, where you hear about it for so long and they just got it done and it was amazing. You know, people had always envisioned what it would be like for Boba Fett to get out and how would he get out. And for a while I was like, I don't know if I need to see him get out, but now that they did it, I'm glad they did. And they did it well. It wasn't like one of those things where you saw people online like, that's what, oh, they did that. I can't believe they did that. Everyone seemed to be like, oh, cool. That's how he got out. Cool. That's cool. It wasn't like anything that was too controversial or outrageous. So I like how they handled that. So that's where I'll start. And I will say, like, my thing with the sarlacc is it seemed so like it was closing in on him more and more. And you saw how like the stormtrooper was like sort of being like half swallowed, like with that slow digestion thing. It just made me feel very claustrophobic and just like crunched and tight in a tight space. So that's where I'm at with that. But overall, I enjoyed the episode. I definitely see the similarities between this and The Godfather, which Robert Rodriguez said is going to be a heavy influence, especially the back and forth with the flashbacks. Very Godfather Part 2. The one thing that I would say I didn't love was the Tusken Raider stuff, because one, you know, Boba got rocked a lot in this episode, and he even had to get bailed out by Gamorrean guards, which I didn't really like very much. But
he got carried back, not just bailed out, like carried back. Yeah,
it's like between Mandalorian, where he's communicating with them and saying
in that fight too.
Yeah, and him saying like, "Oh, we just didn't understand them; they were misunderstood." It's like, well, George Lucas had Klieg Lars, who had lived there his whole life, saying they're mindless monsters, and they took his wife and tortured her and stuff. And now you're saying we just misunderstood them. So I don't know that I'm liking this whole like face turn for the Tusken Raiders. Or Tuskens, or however you want to call them. So
yeah, they did Mando too, like they did the whole sign.
Exactly. Like I don't know if I like this sort of like they're kind of not bad people thing. So I'm not too into that. But I got past that, and really my what drives me to like the episode more than anything is I understood it's sort of like we're gonna catch you up to how Boba Fett got to Chapter 9 in The Mandalorian. We want to get you up to speed there. So I kind of felt, knowing that we have about 200 plus more minutes of this show to go, it's okay that this episode was this. This episode didn't need to be a 9. And maybe if it was a 9 in the long run, it wouldn't serve the story as well. This needed to be one of those set the table type of episodes. And I think because it served its purpose that way, I like it more. But even though I'm still giving it a 7. So that's where I'm kicking off here. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but whoever wants to take it and run with it, Lacey, if you want to give your ideas on the episode overall and things you like, things you didn't like, go for it.
So I think overall the episode sets the stage for where we're going with this series, and I think that they had to, like you said, John, get a lot of stuff out of the way. Like, how did he get out of the sarlacc pit and all this stuff?
Yeah.
Like I said, the sarlacc pit was really gross. I really didn't like that. I didn't like that whole sequence. Although it did make me think when he grabs the tube out of the stormtrooper's helmet and sticks it in his own to breathe, it reminded me of Finn's quote of they filter out toxins, not smoke. So I was like, oh, are they trying to make a nod to that where he's got like all this stuff in his system that they're trying to get out? You know, is it acidic in there? Because you see, I watch it with the subtitles on just so I can see what people's names are and stuff. And there was a lot of like groaning and stuff. And I get that, like, hey, he fell into this thing. But how long has it been? They don't really answer that question, but I guess we'll get into that eventually. But overall, I was surprised how much, not only did he take his helmet off in this episode, but how kind of soft he was this whole episode. Like, not ruling out of, he doesn't want people to fear him. He wants people to respect him. He's giving people second chances. He's not calling people out on their BS. He's trying to not be Jabba. And in doing that, he's kind of setting himself up to be taken advantage of, which we see. I mean, his own helmet gets knocked out of his hands and people like Jawas steal the Republic credits out of the helmet immediately. So it is interesting to see what happens. Also, he gets picked up by the Gamorrean guards, but then they don't show him picking up the helmet. I'm assuming he's just going to have the helmet next time and it's kind of like a given, but I'm
like Indiana Jones's hat. It just keeps appearing.
Yeah. So I'm going to give, probably every episode we do this, I'm gonna give like a Lacey sus list, because this is like a gangster type show movie, so like these are people that I'm like, something's going on there. So first on my sus list is that the mayor and his person, that guy that helps him out, that's like totally creepy and like, oh, he couldn't be here, and he's like, okay, so do you have a tribute? And he's like, no, but do you have a tribute for me? Like, that guy's sus. The mayor's sketchy. We'll see what happens there, but something's not right.
And it seems like he might already be attacking him in this episode.
Right, and that could be a possibility. Number 2 on my sus list is Jennifer Beals Twi'lek. I think there's something there. Like the fact that she's like overly pleasant and like overly polite, and she's a little flirty with Boba Fett, to me seems like she's trying to like not get on his bad side, but if you cross her the wrong way, then like look out. I'm interested to see what happens there. I think number 1 on my sus list, which is no surprise, is Fennec Shand. This whole episode, she is so sketchy. Like, from the moment we see her on screen, where she wakes up Boba Fett and he's like, I'm having the dreams again. Like, think about for a second. Any coworker or any friend, family member, whatever, someone that you confide in on a regular basis. If you're telling them, hey, I'm having PTSD of this, I almost died once. I got eaten by this the creature animal for 1,000 years. Like, you would think if you said, hey, I'm having these nightmares again, the person would be like, oh my God, do you want to talk about it? Are you okay? She no-sold him and just was like, okay, well, there's people downstairs, so do you want to come down, or what's the deal?
Yeah.
Like, she didn't even say anything.
It's funny that you say that. Because when I was watching it the second time, he goes, I'm having the dreams again. My first thought was, man, that is so awkward. Like, what do you say to that? Like, you're not going to be like, sucks, sorry.
I love how James is like, no, I feel
yeah, I was, so she just was like, she just kind of like took it in and was like, yeah, like there's people waiting for you. Like, she just kind of said like, there is no response to that. So I just didn't respond to it. That's how
when your friend who like, got dumped, and they just every Friday night they just have too many, and they tell you the sob story, and you're like, oh God, here we go.
I think that's a little different than almost getting eaten alive by like a big stomach.
Well, if I've had my heart broken pretty badly, and bring on the sarlacc. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but this was also something that happened years ago, kind of thing.
Yeah, I know.
And he's like, the dreams are back again, and it's like, oh, so it sucks, man.
I'm just surprised she didn't even say like, hey, that sucks, or like, oh, that's terrible, or hey, don't worry, it'll get better. Like nothing. She just nothing.
Yeah.
And then throughout the episode, she just leaves a lot of like comments and stuff. Like when the people come to pay tribute, she's kind of like, do you want me to kill him? Do you want me to do this? Like, are we going to do this? And then she said, he was like, keep an eye on this person. She goes, I keep an eye on everyone. So that's meaning she keeps an eye on not just them, but on Boba Fett as well. Just like multiple comments that she made throughout the episode where she's kind of second guessing what he's doing. She's constantly saying, hey, you're doing this wrong. And then the way she ran after those people, and it kind of sets it up of like, who are they? She's clearly in better shape than Boba Fett. She's clearly, a stronger fighter. So I'm interested to see where this goes, because we've been saying on TRB for a couple weeks now that we think that it's building up that there's going to be some type of betrayal. I think they're already setting that up in episode 1 with just the side comments that she's making and the kind of doubt she has about him throughout this episode as a leader. So she's number 1 on my sus list.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that,
I don't know. I'm kind of the opposite. No joke.
Interesting.
I thought this episode solidified more that they've definitely had a relationship before Mandalorian, and that a lot of the comments between them, like I said it on TRB a couple weeks ago, like I was trying to figure out the dynamic. She's not been his sidekick or whatever for that long, but she's like, if I may, she's like saying these things, and he respects her like so much. I think, I'm having the dreams again. Who says that to their like life debt person? Like, I think they've had a long history of working together in the past, and that's how he knew she died. So he went to go find her, and that's why he saved her life. And I think maybe there's even a possibility that the life debt thing is like a cover, and that they've known and they've been working together for a very long time. Like, I don't know. It just, I hear what you guys are saying, but like, I don't know. I can't figure out their dynamic. That's why I'm so confused. And I think part of that too is from dialogue. I'm not super sold on some of the humor and stuff of like, he's like, I don't understand. I'm the crime lord. He's supposed to be nice to me and stuff. I'm like, what dialogue is this? This is weird. And the little joke
Star Wars, dude.
Back and forth. It didn't feel like Star Wars. Felt, I don't know.
Overall, I just felt like the episode was a setup. There's, like you said, John, they're setting the table of what's to come. And I think looking back on a lot of the teasers and trailers that we saw, there were clips that were missing, even though they said like, hey, this is all from the first episode. There were clips in there that were not in the first episode.
Oh, we haven't seen the mayor yet. And he's the
Ithorian. We didn't see the clip that I love, the shot of them from the Rancor pit. We haven't seen them on the speeder bikes. Like, there's a lot of stuff there that
all that stuff was like completely not true. What they said.
Yeah,
everyone's lying.
They're like,
but
the first
Robert Rodriguez
everything is from
baloney.
the first 15 or 20 minutes because we can't even show you the second half. There's spoilers everywhere. I'm like, nothing in the first 15 or 20 minutes was in any trailer.
Yeah,
and he said didn't he say the last second half is going to be a big surprise? I wasn't really surprised in the second half.
That's what I'm saying. He said, we can't
show
you anything from the second half of the first episode because it's all spoilers. And I'm like,
right.
Really?
So I guess my question there, John, as the person that's kind of heading up this whole discussion, can I go into what I think is to come, or are we going to wait for that?
Yeah, I just want to see if James had any like big other things he wanted to throw in.
We also have some super chats if you want to throw them in somewhere.
Yeah, why don't we get to those before they get too lost up there, and then James can throw his thoughts in the mix.
So first off, we have 402 Fett. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says, but I am the crime lord.
I think that's Nathan. What's up, dude?
What up? Next, we have William Roberts. Thank you so much. Who says, love the team TRB, love the flashbacks. Think we'll see him from Empire Strikes Back time period. Could we see Vader? What do you think, Johnny?
I think he said, Tamara Morrison said they're going to do some sort of in between Empire and Return of the Jedi stuff.
I think it really opens up with what they did. I'm going to be honest, like the first 2 minutes when they did all those flashbacks, especially the Attack of the Clones one, I was like, oh, they're going for it. Like they are cutting to the movies. And
don't forget, at the end of the episode, it's a big tell when he had to be helped back into the bacta tank. To me, and I put this in my written review, that thing's going nowhere. This isn't one of those like episode 2. He's like, I'm 100% now. I'm ready to go. He's going to need that thing this whole series. And I think it's going to be a big part of the plot. And if we're doing these flashbacks when he's in that tank and that's the vehicle to let the audience know, here comes a flashback. We're going to get flashbacks throughout this whole run. And I think that's going to be very interesting.
I agree, and I actually enjoyed the way they're doing the flashbacks in that he's in this kind of meditative state. It's a little bit more understanding than like him sitting on the throne and having a flashback, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Zach. Hey, Zach, thanks for the super chat. He said, hey, crew, thanks for all that you do. Rep in Ohio, James. So is the Sand Monster a Clash of Titans nod? If so, I'm down. Love you guys. I actually thought that. That is a good point. Like kind of the stop motion-y look of the monster.
I saw someone, I think it was Brandon from Talking Bay, posted an image of a monster that looked exactly like this monster, and I was like, "Oh, I
From
forgot
Clash
about
of the
that."
Titans?
I think so, or an old Lord of the Rings thing or something.
It looked very similar to something I've seen before.
Yeah, it wasn't a tree. Sorry,
John. They're called Ents, and they deserve your respect.
Next, we have Andrew Staley. Thank you so much for the super chat. Said, I like the point John made in his review story where Boba seems to run out of steam and needs the bacta tank to recover. Thanks and happy Star Wars New Year. Thank you so much.
New Year, Andrew. Happy Star Wars New Year, and see you in a few months, pal. Thanks, man.
I saw somewhere online somebody said they should have named this episode "Back to the Basics."
Back to basics.
Back to the basics.
Back to the basics.
Back to the basics.
Yeah,
but back to.
Next is Cam Miller Films. Thank you so much for the super chat, Cam, who said, "Before I get into my bacta tank, wanted to say thank you for your work. You're so kind."
Thanks, Cam.
Thanks, Cam. Okay, I think we have one more popping in here. We have Ryan. Hey, Ryan, thanks for the super chat, who said, remember when he whipped a whole squad of stormtroopers by himself? Then he went to Mos Espa and got beat up in the street by a couple of space ninjas to be rescued. What's up with that? Thoughts? Not only did he get beat up by them, he got beat up by Jawas. Like, he got beat up by everybody this episode. But yeah, that's the crazy thing. I think that kind of irked me a little bit, like John said, in this episode, is that one of the things that got me on the Boba train of like, hey, this character is really cool, is the way Robert Rodriguez made him so badass in The Mandalorian, where he's like pistol whipping people. He's shooting rockets across the, field to hit a ship and like, just taking people down. Whereas in this episode, he got beat up really bad. But then we see the same thing from The Mandalorian too. I don't know if you guys remember, The Mandalorian, the first 2 episodes just gets beat up, especially by the Mudhorn. He got
and the Jawas, they were throwing stuff off the top, and our heroes getting knocked down. True. That's why I rated that episode low. I was like, I don't really like this. This is not exciting to me. And I think that's part of what soured me on the episode as a whole, is I was like, I'm expecting this Boba Fett, and he's digging sand, and he's getting beat up like multiple times in this episode. He's sitting on the throne, and he's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. Like, he's confused. And I'm like, and I'm like, the only hope that I have is like
in that position.
Sort of, but when you're there all the time, you pick up stuff. He knows what's going on.
He was too busy flirting.
So I do have some people disagreeing with me that I do want to get to, because I love when people disagree with me. I love it. I think it's great. It gets the conversation going. So Brick Something said he is badass. He's not a superhero. I mean, this is the same guy we saw taken out in Return of the Jedi. See, that's a great point. But that's why I didn't like Boba Fett to begin with, because he did die like a chump death and get eaten. And then there was like a big burp, and it was like this hilarious moment. So that's why I was never a big fan of his. But then in The Mandalorian, where he showed up and he was just taking down stormtroopers, I was like, dang, this guy is awesome.
That's true. It's it's, and also like he's very passive, and like how he like knocked out the Mastiff, but then he like pet it sort of like in like almost like a Native American respect way.
Like when you kill your food and you pray over it or whatever.
You pray over it, right? So it's definitely a different Boba Fett, and I get that people change as they get older and you go through certain experiences. So I'm not saying he has to be the exact same Boba Fett from 1980, because everyone changes and you evolve and your experiences shape you. But I still have this feeling he's lulling people to sleep, and we're going to see a more ruthless side of him as we go forward. I think
a switch is going to go off at some point.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too, like I can kind of see the death of Boba Fett in the Sarlacc pit, and him coming out is the moment when he decides, I'm doing something different, like a rebirth of his mentality. So we're all like, where's that Boba Fett? And it's like, this Boba Fett is different. He works with the Sand People. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He wants to be a leader and earn respect. He doesn't want to be feared. That was his old life kind of thing. So he's kind of like moving into that new version of himself. In a very,
that's a good point.
What word I'm looking for? I can't think of it.
I actually really love this point from Apocalypse Wow, who said they put the money in his helmet so he couldn't wear it during battle. That is so calculating, and I love it.
I think that's it. I think that's exactly what it. Good job. Yeah. And
because they kept asking to take his helmet. They asked him twice to take it,
and she said no. Going back to your point about how she's like, I said it. She doesn't trust anybody. She's cutthroat. Yeah. I mean, again, back to the whole gangster thing. In these movies, these gangster movies, Godfather, Goodfellas, all of them, the first act, it's all about family, and you can't break family and the bond and the love and the strength of the family and your friends and never rat on your friends and stuff. You get to the second and third act of those stories, they are eating each other from the inside out, and they destroy each other. And I think Fennec is going to turn on Boba Fett. And Lacey, you're the first person who has like kind of joined me in that thinking. I don't think it's that popular of a thought because everyone wants Fennec Shand to.
They want the team up, yeah.
Yeah, but these gangster stories, it's always the
Star
internal
Wars
thing.
has crushed me so much lately that I just always now go to the negative of like, how are they going to hurt me the most?
I'm telling you, Boba Fett works best when he's by himself in terms of the character and how his legacy and how he is. He's a single operator. I think something's going to happen here, and they keep saying The Godfather influenced this, and the gangsters movies influenced this one. It's not like a Western like The Mandalorian. Internal destruction is the exact recurring theme of all of gangster movies. And it's just the two of them right now. So something's going to happen. Like you watch even Sons of Anarchy. They're like, oh, we're all brothers. And they all end up killing each other and taking each other's wives and stuff. It's just, it turns into internal chaos because of a struggle for power. And you could already see her challenging him. Like you said, Lacey, don't you think we should kill him? No, we're not going to kill him.
Go back and watch the episode and put a tally every time she kind of second guesses or makes some kind of
He gives the helmet. She's like, no,
that's not a good idea. We should get rid of these. We should get rid of these Gamorrean guards and stuff, and then the Gamorreans end up being more loyal, and they do save him.
Right. So I think that we're in, and the way they built up the relationship between Grogu and the Mandalorian slowly but smartly in how they wrote that story, so that the payoff at the end when he said goodbye, we didn't even want him to go with Luke Skywalker. They're going to do that with this relationship where they build up their bond very strongly so that if she does, I'm not saying when, we're just speculating, if she does betray him, it's going to have payoff and it's going to hit hard and it's not going to fall flat.
I agree. So we do have a couple more super chats. First, we have Frank. Awesome. Thank you so much, Frank, who said, like John said before, at the end of season 2, Mandalorian stormtroopers are kind of useless now. So beating a whole squad of them is easily compared to space ninjas. That is totally true. We also have Frank. Dave Hornack. Thank you, Dave. Dave. What up, Dave? Thanks for the super chat. He said, have a happy new year, TRB crew, and to the base. Love having the show back and love the conversation. Awesome.
Thanks, buddy. And great job on your pod race on TRB last week, man.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So can I get into my crazy theory?
I mean, yeah, this is the show for it, I think.
I've been waiting to talk about it. I've been very polite and not waiting till we talked about the episode. Okay, so here's my theory. So my theory is that we are going to see Kira sometime in this series, and that those red ninjas, aka Crimson ninjas, work for her.
Oh.
And the reason because they kind of have the weapons that we've seen from her in the comics, and we see in Solo a little bit. And then also based on the Boba Fett theme that was done by Ludwig, which I waited because people had said it was spoilery to listen to it. So I actually waited till today to listen to it, and I'm listening to it. And these guys know because I sent them a text thread in caps. There is a very interesting theme thrown in there in the middle of the Boba Fett theme, where I found myself thinking, wow, this sounds very similar. Where have I heard this before? And then I hear Han Solo saying, come on. And he's starting his car because it's the beginning of Solo. So, and it sounds like the title sequence of Solo, where they're talking about all the crime syndicates.
Yeah, it seems like the solo like tension, like there's something amiss, there's something wrong. It's a dun 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 kind of thing.
Yeah,
sounds like it's in there.
And she has a very, Crimson Dawn has a very slick look, and I don't know, these ninjas just look very clean and organized, and they're black and red. And she knows Tarakasi. Could she have trained them or trained this group? I just think that that's kind of setting that up, and I really hope that's the case because I would love to see Kira again.
Well, also they had them tangling up over Han's carbonite corpse.
Yep.
In the comics.
Yep.
Boba Fett and Kira, so it wouldn't be just this random. I mean,
and
for most fans, it would be, but
right. And in the comics, she has those kind of nunchucks that have like the lightning electricity on them, which is the same blue that we see in this fight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and it would make sense because if she's the boss now of that syndicate,
she knows there's a new guy in town on Tatooine. She goes, "No, take care of it."
People would flip out, and I know some people would be like, "Oh, that's the end for more Solo," but I think that the opposite. I think that would be a big like, "Wow, they brought her back for this." Like, there's something going on here. Just because I think they'd want to show us how she got to this point, like we said, like why she hated Han Solo in the comics and stuff. So that'd be interesting.
Well, so definitely not to mention too, like they might want to, if they did do the Solo show, they might want to lean on Han and Chewie, and they don't want people being like, "Where's Kira? Where's Crimson Dawn?" And they're like, "We don't want to tell that story in the Han, whatever." Right. Solo 2, it feels like you kind of have to, but if they wanted to do like the Adventures of Han and Chewie, and it's at this time, like that's I think the perfect show. The thing is like you don't really want to get too deep with Crimson Dawn and Kira and what happened there. So if you're going to bring Emilia Clarke back, it actually kind of makes sense. Bring her back for Boba Fett, and it's like the crime lord and the underworld and all that stuff. So it makes sense. It does. I like that theory, and I'm starting to lean towards. I think that is going to happen.
Yeah, and if you guys are interested, definitely go on I know it's on YouTube, but it's on Spotify too because that's just what I prefer. If you go to about 1:50 into the song, you'll hear that kind of like beginning tones of the title sequence for Solo where they're talking about the crime syndicates. So to me, I was sitting there listening, getting ready for the show tonight, and I was just like, wait a second. And you like immediately hear the beginning of Solo where Han Solo's hot wiring the car. But yeah, no, I think it totally could be a possibility. I would love to see Kira in this.
How about this? Because sometimes they borrow from legends.
Mm-hmm. So really quick, Boba Fett and Han Solo were like the biggest rivals of all time, like original trilogy and stuff. So you can't have a Boba Fett series without at least mentioning Han once. And I think we all need to recognize that prior to Solo, a Star Wars story. So Boba Fett and Han were like the characters when they marketed anything on T-shirts, comics, what have you. Those were the two that were always battling
Christmas special.
It out.
So they're called. These guys are called Night Wind Assassins or something like that. So on Wikipedia in Legends, the Night Wind is a ship, and guess what kind of ship it is?
What kind of ship is it, John?
Something. It's a YT 1300 light freighter, just same model as the Millennium Falcon. And where are those ships from?
Corellia.
And where's Kira from?
Corellia.
And it's
all coming together, guys.
It says the Night Wind was a YT freighter crewed by a band of pirates.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Corellia.
It's interesting. It's definitely interesting. So I like that. So you kind of already did your look ahead there, Lacey. Yeah. My and I did too. I think we're gonna.
That took me everything not to yell this out at the beginning of the episode, guys. Like I had to hold it together this whole time.
Next week, I think because of things we didn't see that we thought we were gonna see, I think we are gonna finally meet the mayor, that Ithorian. And according to Wikipedia, I did a little digging. Robert Rodriguez not only voiced the Trandoshan leader, but he's also the voice that everyone thought was Pedro Pascal. That's Robert Rodriguez's voice as the Ithorian, the mayor. So, which I thought funny because when you're a kid playing with your action figures, which Robert Rodriguez obviously loves doing to base things off, you're doing all the voices yourself. You're like, hey, come over here. Hey, no, you come over here. So he's voicing all these bad guys who are walking into, so I think that's so funny. so I think that's pretty cool too, and it kind of eases the worry of Pedro Pascal voicing something that's not the Mandalorian. But James,
one thing,
do you have any? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say we didn't talk about it, and I feel a little bit like I want to be positive about some of the stuff. I didn't really love this episode, and part of that is I kind of I'm tying that into other things that aren't even about this episode. They were just about the Book of Boba Fett, and they were revealed, today and yesterday and stuff like that. And part of that is the theme song. Behind the scenes, the theme song leaked a little bit. We weren't totally positive, so we didn't cover it on Star Wars Newsnet, but I sent it to John and I was like, hey man, what do you think about this? Have you seen it? No one's talking about it. To me personally, there's no way that's the theme to Book of Boba Fett. It doesn't sound Star Warsy at all. It sounds like Ludwig. I mean, it came from his channel or whatever. So I think it probably was him, but it sounds like the coolest hip hop beat. If this was Lil Wayne's mixtape, and he was rapping over it, I'd be like, that is sick. I love that. But doesn't feel like Star Wars to me. I told John the only connection I can kind of come up with is the show was kind of sub-named Buccaneer. Feels very piratey. Han was kind of called a pirate, and stuff. And I'm like, they're not really pirates. They're bounty hunters and smugglers and stuff. But I guess low life pirate, it all kind of fits together a little bit. But I'm gonna get used to the song, but I wasn't a big fan of the Mandalorian song. And again, I'm used to it, but I still got to stand on it doesn't sound like John Williams to me, and I know that's different.
That
but
song builds. This one hits you right in the face. It
sounds like it was created in a studio to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a piece of orchestra classical music. It just sounds like a really computer-based MacBook song, and they threw in layers of voices and stuff to make it sound bigger. But it also it doesn't when I think of Boba Fett, I think of him as a loner. And it's this song is very communal and tribal and a community of people. We're all in it together. Dum, dum, dum. It also reminds me of the South Park Mormon thing. Dum 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 dum. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'm listening to the song and I'm like, do I like this? And they're like, dum 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 dum. And I'm like, come on. It's making it harder.
Well,
for me
I told
to
you when you
it
sent
sounded
it to
very
me,
hero to me more than anything else, which is that's the weird thing to me, because I don't picture Boba Fett as a hero. I picture him as the villain, the bounty hunter. But I love this song. I like it better than the Mandalorian song, to be honest.
I like
think
it too.
It's harder.
I think it's these non-classic Star Wars John Williams inspired things take a little while to grow on me. But then after the Mandalorian, I was popping out of my Spotify as I was driving to work and stuff da 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 da. So this will do the same. But when I first heard it, I was like, this belongs in Pirates of the Caribbean 7.
It does sound very piratey, yeah.
But also, it sounded like something you hear when you're walking off a ride, and you're like, "Oh, okay." Oh, lo, lo.
John, you said something, and I was like, I replied with it's not that I don't like it. It's like hearing a Muse song or a Foo Fighters song. You're like, that's not the theme to Book of Boba Fett. Don't be stupid. And then when it is, you're like, it's not that I thought it was a bad song. It's just it didn't connect with me as something Star Warsy. It sounded like something cool he was messing around with and put together. I don't think it lives up to he's like, oh, I'm doing a new show. I'm going to do the main thing. It's going to carry over. And it's that's what he delivered and they used it. Yeah. But I'm like, how much time did you spend on this? Seems like he did a lot of layering and just kind of went with, a very traditional style of music, like a bar hymn or something. And they're like, oh, well, bar hymns all kind of sound like this. And they've memed thousands of different lyrics and they all are different songs, but they're all based on this core bar chant or something like that. And I'm like,
I love the
you only gave us the bar chant. That's it. Yeah, you only gave us the sea shanty. That's it. That's just
I like it.
It doesn't even have the words, or not that I want it to have words, but
no,
reminds me of The Hobbit. Yeah, I agree.
James, is there anything you're looking for in Chapter 2, especially this? You seem to like this the least out of any of the live action stuff so far on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So what will get you going in chapter 2, and then we can sort of wrap up.
I want Boba Fett to have confidence. He seems like he doesn't know what he's doing right now. I want him to get back in it and know what he's doing. I don't necessarily need him to be particularly ruthless, although it seems like because they're leaning on the like he's going to rule with respect, and it's like, okay, I just want him to know what he's doing and show that that's confident, because in this particular episode, he's like, I want to do it this way. And then he just gets beat up the whole time. And I'm like, it's not working. So, either make what you want to be a thing work or do it a different way. Just get something to happen,
So you're saying involve the menagerie a little bit.
Maybe.
All right. So I think we all kind of looked ahead, and we're looking forward to what's going to be happening in chapter 2 next Wednesday. I will say next Wednesday we will be joined by a former TRB guest who's a writer, editor, comedian, and some of you might know him from the Schmodown. He's known as the fan favorite. He was my teammate on the dungeon. Adam Witt will be joining us. It'll be James's first time getting to hang out with Adam, who is also from Dayton, I believe. So you guys can chat about that. But Adam Witt will be joining us. He's a huge Star Wars fan. Such a good time. Lacey and I had an absolute blast on TRB with him. So we'll talk to him with him about chapter 2. Very excited to have Adam on board here next Wednesday. And we'll have more guests coming as the season goes on for us to reveal. But we want to, first of all, thank our patrons who make this show possible. The amount of work that we put into this show, we can't even explain what it takes to make stuff like this happen, especially on a week-to-week basis. So thank you to everyone who supports us over at patreon.com/resistance broadcast. Tiers start at $2 a month. We have extra footage and content and episodes over there that are exclusive to that, as well as chats. And as you go up the tiers, there's a lot more benefits. You can even get on the show. It's very cool stuff. And I just want to give a special shout out to our generals and spice runners: Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Paul Olson, Oliver Lewis, Frank Grande, Joe Ritchie, Darth Hurricane, John Charlton, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, Nathan Shank, and Val Trichkoff. Those are our generals, and our spice runners: David Probus, Neil Shaw, Double C, Chris, Kendall Gelnar, Ryan Wara, Dave Hornack, Micah Harrison, and Thomas Hennessy. Thank you all so much for your support, and all of our patrons. Make sure you're going to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. You can read my written review of this episode of the Book of Boba Fett on there as well. And TRB will be back Monday with a regular episode of the Resistance broadcast. How our schedule is going to work through the run of the Book of Boba Fett is the Resistance broadcast on Mondays, and then live Wednesdays for the Mando fan show. And then on Thursday, so tomorrow morning, the Mando fan show will hit all of your podcast feeds as well, so you can get the audio version. And of course, it will always be on the YouTube channel as well. And store.resistancebroadcast.com if you want the new season 3 Mando fan show shirt, Make Solo 2 Happen stuff. There it is right there, the new shirt. That'll be available through February 9th. So that is basically that. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, Star Wars Newsnet, and I have a movie podcast called Just Like the Movies. We just did The Matrix, and it's a good time. Lacey, where can people hit you up?
Well, before we do that, we have one more super chat. Michael Moore, thank you so much for the super chat. Who said, thanks for everything, Lacey, John, and James. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. So first of all, I did put in the chat, if you guys are interested, links to our Patreon as well as our coffee, which is really cool, with wewerbrothers.com.
Yes.
We did a special blend of the Resistance Brew. It supports small business as well as our podcast. So thank you so much for that. And then also, if you're looking for some cool Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett stuff, as well as Star Wars stuff, if you've gotten money for Christmas and or the holidays and are looking for something to add to your wardrobe, you can have our jewelrybrands.shop. And if you use code TRB, you can get 25% off. That's 25% off of Star Wars stuff. So if you need to get some gifts for people, I know I'm born in February, so sometimes you just got to get stuff early.
Oh, Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Yeah, Valentine's Day, right. People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin if you guys want to talk about theories and much more. And I'm so pumped to be back. I had such a good time tonight, so thank you guys so much. It was worth the wait of waiting until December to watch this show, just to chat with you guys.
For sure. James?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks. One other thing that we want to shout out too is that while the show will always be here at night and all three of us will be on talking everything, every morning after the episode airs, we're getting up extra early to watch the episode, kind of give a quick thing. And we film that and we put it up. We call it the Mando Minute. And that is a good way to support the YouTube channel. If you guys want to see that and share that, like that, give a comment on that, that's going to help the channel. It kind of gives us an extra bonus video on our channel that relates to the Book of Boba Fett. And it's a good way to kind of get ahead of the curve to be like, oh, what did Lacey think of this episode? Okay, now I know what to expect when I'm watching later. She's probably going to bring a lot of that stuff up. So the Mando Minute is also available every morning of a new episode. So check that out.
And someone said my face on the thumbnail today looks sad. I think it was Dave. I think it was just my mustache looked like a frown. So, but I don't know.
John gave me
It was also early and I was a little grumpy, I'll be honest.
John is Beardo Fett. This is the new version of John for the Book of Boba Fett.
I'm on the Beard Squadron now.
Thumbnails, and they were both like, I don't know.
Which is good. If you go back and look at the rumor and theory review, there's like 6 in a row. They're like,
I do it too. I'm always like, could be this, could be that. I'm trying to make an ambiguous face so you project.
My next one, I'll just do this.
Yeah, exactly.
But like full disclosure. Yeah, right. I recorded one, but my mic wasn't sourced, so it didn't pick up my audio, so I had to do the whole thing again. Even though it was only a minute, it was still a little annoying. But
welcome to like 4 of the Bad Batch episodes.
Oh my god, James, you were like, oh god.
All right, so that's our return of the Mando fan show. Thanks to everybody who joined us. It looks like there was a lot of people in the chat, a lot of people watching. It's really cool. Please continue to spread the word, let people know about this show, because I know a lot of people actually found us through the Mando fan show, which is very cool. Also, just real quick, and one last plug. Spotify now has a rating system, so even if you don't listen to us on Spotify, go over there, find us, and rate us 5 stars if you don't mind. We really appreciate everyone who has done it and who continues to do it. It's free to do, takes a few seconds, and it really helps us out, so thank you. But that's it for us here. We'll be back on Monday morning with an episode of TRB, and of course next Wednesday for the Mando fan show for chapter 2, and keep collecting those Mando codes. But from the 3 of us here, until next time, as always, we'll see you around, kids.
Bye guys, thanks for being in the chat.